The Jays, partially through my dad, said, hey, Greg's available. Chris McKenna was the GM. Do you remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he said, you know what? We remember Greg. They signed me as a local guy, as an extra guy. Didn't even play the first game. And once I got in there, I think I went 1 for 4. The next game, I think I hit a home run, and I got an extra 3 years of baseball out of it playing with the Blue Jays. So pretty special. I loved it. Medicine Hat's always been good to me.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch brought to you by Bernie Leahy, River Street Realty. Let's get you home. Harry Carey, the great baseball announcer with the Chicago Cubs, always used to say it's a great day for baseball. It's a great day for baseball in Canada because the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win the World Series. I hope I didn't put the jinx on them, but one more win, and they'll do something they haven't done since 1994. And I'm very pleased to welcome to the porch Greg Morrison from the Medicine Hat Mavericks, because Greg has a unique perspective on the connection between Medicine Hat and the Toronto Blue Jays, because you were a member of the Medicine Hat Blue Jays back in 1995, 96, I think, if memory serves.
95, a Dodger in Great Falls.
That's
97, a Blue Jay. So I got to do 2 tours in the Pioneer League.
And so you've got connections to both teams. So where's your heart in this one?
Yeah, cheering for the underdog. So LA, they've been there enough. They've won enough. Since the Jays won it in 92, 93 there. It's funny how time goes, right? You're probably with me on how the years pass, and you judge your life in not just a soundtrack, but in baseball seasons.
Yeah. Like, who won who was playing in the playoffs that year? Oh, yeah, I remember performances by whoever, and great memories, because we always remember where we were when certain events happened, like Joe Carter hitting the home run to win that World Series, and what a moment that was. You have seen baseball from the ground up, from the bottom leagues, the rookie leagues. And I wanted to get your perspective, I think, on what everybody's talking about right now. Trey Yesavage. Here's a kid who in June was playing at A-level ball, which was where you were in your career. And then he's pitching and setting records in the World Series. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that.
Yeah, and to start in Dunedin and work his way all the way up. I think before that last start, I think they said he had 8 major league starts, and 5 of them have been in the playoffs as well. So he has that unique overhand delivery with that splitty, and Gosman throws one as well. But Tresavage, his is more of kind of, it's got that arm side run, and the hitters just aren't used to seeing that, in so much that you're seeing those switch hitters spin around on them, which on rare occasion they will. Generally you want a right-handed pitcher and a left-handed batter, but some of those guys are mixing it up. They're going righty against them just so they can have that ball coming into their bat swing a little bit as opposed to away. So yeah, it's exciting to watch. He was a first rounder, so by no means was he a long shot to get to the big leagues. But it's fun to watch him and many other guys. You got Lucas as well, has been a 10-year minor leaguer, having a chance, one win away from winning a World Series ring. So I think everybody's getting behind these guys.
You were in the minor leagues. Do you have any connection with any of the people that are involved in the World Series right now?
Ironically, one of their professional scouts from the Jays, it wasn't when I was with the Jays, it was when I was actually in college at the National Baseball Institute in 1994. He was a college teammate of mine. He's been with the Jays for 26 years, and just happened to be flying back to Toronto from LA watching the game because he's a pro scout, and shot me a text. He ran into somebody who knew me on the flight and just shot me a text. So, I'm getting up there a little bit. The guys that I know, they'd be kind of coaches or front office. Obviously, there aren't too many guys playing in their 40s, although it's happening. You're seeing it. But still in the game. And the Mavericks has provided me that opportunity, albeit it's summer college, it's amateur kids, but to see these prospects that are 19, 20, 22 years old come through Medicine Hat still, just like they did many moons ago, still keeps that passion and keeps me on the field, which I'm very excited to do.
Yeah. Baseball is a rather small community, though, when you look at it. Between the minor leagues and the major leagues, there's people who have been in and out and back and forth, and you get to know these people outside of the diamond so that you have those connections. Medicine Hat does have a special relationship to the Blue Jays, though, because from 1978 until I think it was 2003, we had their rookie team here. You were a member of the team here back in the day. You still hold the Pioneer League record for, I think it's home runs in a season.
Yeah, it's been since tied. Someone from the Anaheim Angels, last name Jackson, he got 23. Right in the last year when the Pioneer League went from affiliated ball, he tied that record. So I had it for almost 20 years. He's tied it. And since we're co-tied for the home run record in the Pioneer League as affiliated professionals. So, yeah, it was quite the year. The baseball looked like watermelons that year. You know, it was just, whether it was a first pitch fastball or first pitch slider, it just seems like I could get that sweet spot on the bat, on the ball. And, you know, to do it in my hometown was pretty special.
Yeah, playing for your hometown, was that difficult or was it easy?
It was easy. You know, I had 2 years with the Dodgers. It was like a new start. You know, those first 2 years with the Dodgers, I put so much pressure on myself as a player to say, hey, you know, I've never been here before. I got to do good. You almost feel like the weight of the world on your shoulders sometimes. And then when I got released from the Dodgers, I had just been at home. I'd been working with a sledgehammer, ironically, which when you talk about sport-specific swinging, that I don't think it was a coincidence swinging that 5-pound sledge for about 5 months. And yeah, the Jays, partially through my dad, said, hey, Greg's available. Chris McKenna was the GM. Do you remember him? Yeah. And he said, you know what? We remember Greg. They signed me as a local guy, as an extra guy. Didn't even play the first game. And once I got in there, I think I went 1 for 4. The next game, I think I hit a home run, and I got an extra 3 years of baseball out of it playing with the Blue Jays. So pretty special. I loved it. Medicine Hat's always been good to me. Bill Ewell's always been good to me. He owned the team at that time. Big, you know, he's still my mentor. I like to lean on him, talk to him at least once a year about the baseball and hockey world. So yeah, it was exciting being a local guy.
I would think one of your big memories, too, would be the chance to play against the Toronto Blue Jays at Athletic Park. Now, you weren't a member of the Blue Jays. You were on the other side of the field.
Yeah, so, you know, I went and played college baseball for 1 year before the Dodgers drafted me. And if you were a Canadian and if you didn't have an opportunity to play in the States, you would go to the NBI. It was out of Surrey. Most of these guys were, you know, 19 to 25-year-old guys. Most of them were on the national team. You know, I went there as a real young guy, 17 years old, early graduate. And yeah, I went out there, got an invite from my Team Canada coach, and it was pretty special. We're hitting outside in January. Can you imagine? So, you know, to me, it was in the rain and it was cold, but it was still able to be outside in January. And that was really the beginning of my opportunities there. Of course, making Team Alberta, Team Canada, but really going to the NBI and then getting drafted. That's where the doors opened up for me.
You were unusual, though, because at that time there weren't a lot of Canadians that were involved in baseball. We've seen it explode since then, but you were kind of in on the ground floor there. Yeah,
and you can think of a handful of names. Larry Walker, right? These are guys kind of coming out of British Columbia.
Maple Ridge, I believe.
You're correct. Yep. Yeah. Who was it that came out of Melville there? I think he's still coaching there. It would have been in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
Played for Houston.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And he's coaching in Houston now. It'll come to us probably soon. But yeah, so you'd have to be pretty darn good. But leagues like the WCBL with the Mavericks, they were around in the 60s. So you would see some American guys come up. They would play with the Canadians. And all of a sudden this coach would come up and the Canadian would get an opportunity. So it's not so different 50, 60 years later, right? In Medicine Hat, we're still very small town. You know, our coaches with the Mavericks are from the States, most of them. Obviously, there's me and another local coach, Chad Martin. But it's the same model. It's these amateur kids coming up, trying to playing for the love of the game to maybe get an opportunity at the next level.
And we've seen a few from the WNBL make it into the major leagues as well.
Yeah, absolutely, every year. So Medicine Hat, we've had a couple. Mike Soroka was going to come pitch for us. He went in the first round. He couldn't come down, but he was ready to come down and play for us. So yeah, the league it's stronger than ever. The league is growing. You know, I was talking to a young pitcher today in Colorado, and I said, you know, you get a unique snapshot of Canada if you come to our league, because you'll play in Weyburn where there's a few thousand fans, a population with 30 fans, and then you'll go to Okotoks and you'll play in front of 5,000 fans. So Medicine Hat, we're kind of right in the middle. We're about 1,500 to 2,000 fans per game. So it's a great league, and it's a great opportunity for these kids.
And baseball is played on a diamond, and when you look at Athletic Park, it truly is a jewel, and you have done a lot of work on that park.
Yeah, between the support we've gotten federally or municipally, throw in the passion of a local group of guys out there pulling weeds out of the cracks of the asphalt because we're just there nonstop, right? So Athletic Park, and an interesting story too, Ted Grimm, obviously.
Former mayor,
yeah. That ballpark was built in 1978, and about 10 years ago, he told me, he said, Greg, this was $1 million, and you can imagine how big that number was back then. But for the courage for them to see that investment, right, in sport, and I don't know what came first. Did the Oakland A's Pioneer League team come first or the ballpark? I don't know that story.
If you build it, they will come.
That's right. But and to this day, it's a beautiful ballpark for the amenities, for the size of our community. Obviously, there's been some inputs over the years, but it still works great for a city our size.
Baseball history in Medicine Hat goes back over 100 years too. With there were teams, the Monarchs, I believe was the name, and they played in the original Athletic Park. Do you know where that was?
Ooh, you'd have to refresh. Was it across the river or was it down a little bit?
It was across the river. If you know where Fire Hall number 1 is,
yes.
That would probably be the right field corner.
Wow.
Shamrock Bottle would be down the left field side, the third base side, and the ballpark was sort of the diamond was there. And it was there for quite a few years until they came across the river. So, and then the old Athletic Park, before the new grandstand, that used to be there. It was, I think it was an old green grandstand. And they had to, I think it sort of fell to the wayside when they were building the Arena Convention Center. So, yeah, it's had a couple of different looks, but you have kept baseball alive in Medicine Hat through the Mavericks over many years now, and you have built quite a success story in Medicine Hat.
Well, I appreciate that. When you're getting to live your passion out like you yourself are doing, it doesn't feel like work. In fact, sometimes you got to tell yourself to get home because you're at the ballpark too long. But I think, it took some vision of the original owners. And I got to say, guys like Jim Hearn, Jim Turner, Warren Schaefer, Mike Keck, they got it started. They knew when the Jays left in 2002, we got to keep something here. We got to keep a high level of baseball. Back then it was called the WMBL, the Wimble. There was a name change, I think around 2019 to the WCBL, but it's the same league. In fact, when I look at that trophy, when we won it in 2018, there was my hometown, and my dad just missed that year. It was 1972 Unity Cardinals. My dad played in the mid-late 60s in Unity, but it's on the trophy. So you think of the name changes, the history, the towns, right? Jamie Campbell came out and just couldn't believe the storied history of the baseball stadiums, right? He's still talking about us. You'll see him on Sportsnet. He's got a Mavericks t-shirt on or a Regina Red Sox hat on. So we're on the radar as it goes in out east. Our league is just growing, and baseball in the prairies it's a great thing.
And you're helping to keep the baseball going in Medicine Hat through some of your programs where you work with some of the young kids on the field, and they get a chance to come out and play with their heroes of the day.
Yeah, as a kinesiologist, that's my academic background. I knew early on that baseball development, you want kids to learn how to swing and throw when they're 8, 9, 10 years old. By the time they're 19, it's hard for me to work with a lot of those kids. So, I'd love nothing more to have half of our Mavericks being local kids. It's a tall order, similar to the Tigers. It's such a great league competitively, but there's no reason we can't have 2, 3, 4 Medicine Hat kids on our team every year. And it does start young. You got to learn young. It's a passion of ours, whether it's an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 20-year-old from California. We're on the field, and it's the same game, right? You're just trying to show those guys to keep it simple, to have fun and keep that passion out there.
I think it was it Babe Ruth? No, Roy Campanella used to say you have to be a man to play it, but you got to have a lot of little boy inside you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And, think of these Blue Jays, right? The stories, the tears welling up from Vladdy. These guys are human, and they let us in to their human element this year, I think, like no other year. Just Schneider talking about the story of losing his brother and his family being at the game. Campbell, I think, was getting a bit emotional there in that big win. So tonight and tomorrow, we'll see if there's 2 games. I think Canada's pulling. There's a couple guys, even some of our junior Mavs are pulling for the Dodgers, so I don't hold it against them.
They're just not welcome back at the ballpark anymore.
That's right. But I think everybody loves an underdog. And us Med Hatters, that storied history, we're trying to pull footage too, and we're sharing it on our account, and people are just like, wow, where did that come from, right? It's cool to remember your past when it comes to this stuff.
I think Babe Ruth said you can have a bunch of individuals who are really great players, but if they don't play as a team, they're not worth a dime. And to me, that's the hallmark of this Blue Jays team. And you can see it, how they support each other in the dugout. And you got guys like Clement. I mean, he hit, I don't know how many times he got on base in a row. I mean, everybody talks about Shohei. Okay, he's another world talent, but a guy like Clement, never heard of him until probably the last year. Also,
That's right.
But you've got those guys. All those role players are all in it, and they're all pulling the same direction, and that's what makes this team special.
Yeah, and I find myself kind of Googling during the game because the names, I don't know a lot of those guys. And Ernie, he'd been up in the big leagues since 2021, and, not spectacular numbers, but he just grew into his opportunities. And you just got to be happy for these guys, Jimenez, these guys that are, they're going to be starters next year, hopefully with the Blue Jays. It's a game of opportunity, and those guys have really made the most of their opportunity.
And it's family, too. You probably saw the clip of Davis Sanchez's father videoing his at-bat, a leadoff home run, and his reaction.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, they have let us into their clubhouse like no other year, and people are really getting behind it. That's something you can't fake. That's something that is a cultural thing, and you can look all the way up to the top to Mark Shapiro. I had the privilege of meeting him 10 years ago, and they're just authentic. He came from the Indians. It's a cultural thing. He was about trying to customize things for the players, give those guys what they need, and then right down to a guy like Pat Gillick. It's always about the player. It has to be about the player with this stuff, right? So they've really done something right culturally. A lot of those guys playing together in the minor leagues that have come up, so they've been there when the paychecks weren't, and they're there for the passion and the excitement. So hopefully it's the beginning of a bit of a run for Toronto. Usually these things come a bit streaky, but maybe they'll be one of these teams for another 2, 3, 5 years, which would all be great for Canada and Canadian baseball. And
the Blue Jays have done a marvelous job of spreading that we're Canada's home team. That's sort of their mantra. Yeah. Now, I remember when guys like Gord Ash and Pat Gillick and Bobby Cox and some of the players would come through here in the middle of winter to meet people from Medicine Hat, just to prime the pump and talk about baseball.
That's right. Well, and when I was talking to Mr. Ewell the other day, it was Oakland A's for 1 year and then the Blue Jays, right? Yeah. Well, I think the Blue Jays knew enough that they wanted to be out here in the West and have some representation, right? So that was a smart play probably on all sides of Canada's team. The Pioneer League only had 2 Canadian teams at that point, right? It was Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, right? So I'm not sure where Oakland moved to. Probably somewhere to the States, right? But it was a good fit for the Medicine Hat Blue Jays to be in our town.
As we record this, we're on the cusp of November, a long way from the first crack of the bat in the next season. So what are you doing with the Mavericks now?
To take you through a day, today was talking to a 19-year-old pitcher from Colorado and just talking about our program and his availability to come up and pitch. Recruitment is a big part. I like to help out with our head coach. Ryan Reed will be returning. This afternoon might be talking to a sponsor or trying to help plan our youth camps. So I'm so lucky to be able to do the on-field side of baseball, the off-field side of the business and baseball operations in my hometown. I'm very blessed. The community's been amazing to me. They have been. I bought this team in 2009. Originally, my conversations were to maybe coach with the prior ownership group, and who knows, 3 weeks later, I owned a baseball team, which I didn't even know what a P&L sheet was at that point. So the growth that I've had and the league has had, it's much appreciated, the support through the community and our sponsors. So.
Well, the Mavericks provide lots of good summer entertainment, a great place to go and watch a ball game. And Greg Morrison, I thank you for your visit here. We could go on much longer, but you have to be somewhere else. So thanks for your time.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate what you're doing for the community as well.
Thank you.